All right. So I spoke with Jack Goodwin out of UCSD, and we talked about creating and administering an undergraduate student incubator and fund. And unfortunately, we had some serious scheduling conflicts and couldn't really get in touch, but I'm going to get in touch with him this weekend and update the wiki. But he sent me a great email with some really good content and everything. So I'll show you what I have. I think we got some great information off of the email we had. So the first thing he told me about was really if you're making a change, any sort of change in the university, the most important thing you need is a really influential individual who can champion your idea, someone who will stand up and really present it well and get everyone excited. He said that was the most important part. Of course, the officials at the university are much more likely to support an idea established by someone really prominent. And I quoted him here. It's all about that first influential connection. He said once you make that first really influential connection by whoever's championing your idea, whether it's you or someone else, that's what really gets the ball moving on everything. In terms of who to connect with if you're starting an incubator and fund, he said really the primary people he looked for were the leaders of engineering schools, business schools, and medicine. Those are the three areas where you're going to find the most results the fastest. Entire university leaders work well, but he said surprisingly they're not that valuable in the beginning. Really the step down that the leaders of the individual schools can provide the most change the fastest, and then later on in the process you're going to want to contact the president of your university, and that's where they'll be able to make the most change. So what's needed to get started? He outlined a couple questions that you should ask yourself before you go anywhere, and it's what do you want in an incubator? That's something you need to know to explain to people. What can it do for your school? I mean, finding the value in it's really important. What's needed to open it, of course. Why is it a good investment is an important one that whoever you're pitching it to needs to know. When's the soonest it can be open so you have some kind of time frame for when you can see the results. And how can whoever you're presenting to, how can they help you, which is, of course, kind of expected. But he also said never discount the value of a good presentation. That's really important to have a great presentation when you're going to do people, because you don't really know off the bat how much a person can help you. You might be surprised at the impact they can have. So he talked about in his case the real spearheading of the incubator wasn't all with the students. They created the idea and they pitched it to their administration, but the administration really decided they wanted to take the reins in creating it. They convinced the university they needed that incubator, and then the university actually got a hold of a charitable donation to start it and created all the committees and created it internally. And actually down here, they actually launched it in 6 months, which I thought was like, wow, that's pretty fast. That's pretty impressive for the bureaucracy of a university. So, and I tried to contribute a little bit, and he didn't really talk about what the incubator should really provide and require, and that's one thing I think I learned through I'm pretty heavily involved with the incubator on my campus, so I talked about the networking I think is the most important part, and one thing that's really helped me a lot is we have an attorney who's an alumni, and he'll do trademarks and patents for you for just $100 or something, which is invaluable compared to how much you'd spend normally. Also, like networking with local angel investors and many investment networks. We're connected with our local angel community, so it's easy to talk to those guys. And also, it's always surprising how many startup communities there are wherever you're located. You'll find them and didn't even know they existed. And having something to really network them all together is a great thing to get you involved with all these different people and resources. Some other things they provide is they provided us web hosting services, which is great because we got a lot of computer science people who are doing web-based startups. And Rackspace, for example, they're a big company and they have a great startup program where we have in my startup $24,000 a year with them, which is invaluable to us because that's like our main cost. Community workspace is great because it really encourages peers helping each other, and consultation to help people get off the ground or if they hit a roadblock. Other than that, like pitch competitions internally are a pretty good thing because they're really bouncing your pitch off of other people, your other peers can give you some great feedback. And then what should an incubator require? Well, really, I think student involvement is the most important thing. If you can get your people who are involved in the incubator, like giving back and helping too, they can be a great resource as well. And just reevaluation constantly to see if people are moving and if if your incubator is moving as well. So continued involvement is just keep the funding flowing. You want to keep everyone actively invested and thinking it's a good idea. Reevaluation of internal processes. I think you're going to find things don't work how you expect them to, and some things will work, and got to constantly be shifting and pivoting to fit that. And then last really is just continue expanding your presence. You want everybody to know about you and everyone to get excited about you, and that's the most important thing. So I'll update this when I get to talk with him a little bit more, and I'm sure he's got some more great feedback he can give, and that's what I've got for y'all today.
Excellent, Graham. So when you do talk with him, I'd like you to explore especially sort of the catalyzing events. You mentioned that they got to a point where the university became convinced that an incubator of undergraduate engineering ideas was worthwhile. I remember talking with Jack Goodwin when he first started his role, and at the time, the Moxie Center had formed. It was new. They just hired a director. The Moxie Foundation gave UCSC a large amount of money, and but the incubator was really focused on research and on the graduate school in particular and faculty opportunities. And so Jack and his peers came together and said, we want to nurture undergraduate engineering ventures. We want to seed them with some funding. We want to help our peers succeed. And it sounds like whatever the ingredients were that they presented really helped the university see that this was important and that they should take a leadership role in making it happen rather than letting the students just run with it. But it could have been a fork in the road. It could have gone either way. And so, like, if you could unpack all the different ingredients to that successful sell, how many students came forth, how much traction did they have in terms of a groundswell of interest, because, you know, if done differently, without a seller presentation, just one or two students, perhaps it would have had a different outcome. So really sort of explore that. And when you guys hear the other recordings from earlier today, you'll see there's a continuous theme that emerges about students coming together and gaining broad interest, widespread interest on campus. And, you know, not really just not having it be, oh, this is my idea, or my friend and I have this idea. No, it's really just a, you know, you're organizing the demand side here. And so part of that is the sell to students that this is important and that they should care about it, and expressing your passion in reaching out to them and bringing them in to that effort, and then, of course, reaching out to them.